Smiley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Wednesday, May 31st. So today we will have the moon in Libra for the bulk of the day. We are going to see that moon go void of course here and kind of prepare to move into Scorpio energy. We're not quite in the full moon window as of yet, but the Scorpio energy will definitely guide us in there. And of course, bridging the gap between May and June. Pay attention, there will be some June energy forecast dropping here over the next little bit. And of course, those zodiac forecasts will be up for your listening pleasure. I would also advise you to jump over to Patreon, sign up there, and that way you'll get all of the content in which I release for a much more affordable price than downloading them all individually. Now, there are 6 different aspects here today, so a semi-quiet day in the cosmos, and all 6 of them are going to involve the moon. The moon is going to interact with Uranus very early on in the day. And of course, Uranus is the great awakener. And the way that these two are kind of interacting, definitely exposing a different side, a different perspective to the story, to the circumstance, to the situation. Now, this is going to be an aha moment, an epiphany, information and details that we can't unknow, and therefore very important as far as contributing to the overall plan, the overall strategy on the direction, the movement that we are preparing to take. The moon will interact with Saturn, the Lord of Karma, ruling over roles, responsibilities, structures, and foundations. And of course, this does have a tendency to bring in a little bit of a negative Nancy vibe. However, that moon in Libra likes to keep things in the shallow end of our emotional realm. So we're not going to get too far in the funk here, but we are going to realize where we have some choices to either stay the same or boss up. And of course, bossing up to new timelines, to new soul contracts requires us to be a better version of ourselves. And of course, moving into new roles and responsibilities definitely requires us to take a good look at what it is that we're actually willing to do within ourselves, push ourselves through these blockages, through these obstacles, through these challenges in order to arrive at a brand new, higher version of the timeline that we're currently walking. The moon will interact with the sun, so the sun in Gemini, illuminating 2 very different types of options, types of path, 2 very different timelines, if you will. We're in experimentation phase here in Gemini season, and the moon in Libra, very divisive. The sun in Gemini, very divisive. And we have a lot of information to sort out. There's a lot of inner workings of our mental plane, and the most pressure is in our mental space right now. We will be kind of dipping down into that heart space and really kind of mull over how it is that we're feeling about some new revelations and realizations. But this particular aspect is illuminating what it is that we need to close the door on and what it is that we need to prepare for as we are considering one path over the other. Of course, timeline jumping, soul contract renewal. We are leveling up in many different ways, but we are just in the visualization stage and kind of running through what all of these variables and scenarios would actually lead us to. The moon in Libra is going to square off, get into the boxing ring with Venus, its ruler, who is in the final degrees of this Cancer energy. And this is the last aspect that is made before the moon goes void of course. So this is going to kind of trigger a little bit of verbal vomit, if you will. What are we vomiting out? Well, we're kind of overstating our emotions. We're all up in the feels. We are feeling a little bit, I'm going to say, over emotional, hypersensitive, a little bit raw, a little bit vulnerable, and we have a lot to say. Now, should we say it? I don't know. I think that we're in a situation right now where we don't even really truly know how it is that we think and feel, and anything that we're expressing is usually coming out of the egoic programming of fears and doubts and insecurities. I don't know how sure we are about anything, especially in this Libran energy, which tends to be very indecisive. But what I do know is that there's all kinds of feels coming to the surface. There's all kinds of vulnerabilities coming to the surface. And although we have really good intentions of like trying to be heartfelt, trying to emote what it is that we're actually experiencing in our inner realm, I don't know that the message is going to be as clear as we would hoped it to be. I also don't know that other people are in the mood to receive our thoughts, our emotions in the way that we're putting it out there. So be very cautious with that verbal vomit, with the rambling, especially when it comes to our affections, to our emotional state, because we are very real and raw and vulnerable, but we are kind of erring on the side of our egoic programming, not our higher self. While the moon is void in Libran energy, we are going to see the moon interact with Neptune in such a way that is going to provide us with, again, two very different perspectives, different understandings, different kind of, I'm going to say choices, but we're not really in the choice sector as of right now. Neptune kind of brings in the higher self, brings in visions, brings in dreams. So it's not like we're in a choice point or deciding point. Instead, we're just kind of looking at the options that we're trying to conjure up for a new vision, a new dream, a new goal. And we are kind of divided, of course, Libran energy and being in Gemini season, we're divided on what that actually looks like and what it is that we're actually being called to pursue. Of course, a lot of negative narratives kicking in here, egoic programming, creating fears, doubts, and insecurities, while the higher self really having a hard time trying to pull us through this kind of period of questioning. Just keep in mind, this is the last day of May, which means that the intensities to kind of wrap up these particular life lessons are definitely driving us home. If you need to go back, listen to the May energy forecast for a little bit of a refresher on what we were supposed to be learning, I would definitely recommend we do that as we transition to a brand new month, brand new vibration, brand new lesson. We will lock into the Scorpio energy at 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, the transit from Libran energy to Scorpio energy is very, very intense. Why is that? Well, because we're moving into the shadow realm of our experiences here in the Scorpio energy. Very intense, very passionate, very focused on desires, very focused on transformation. And of course, a huge reminder of what it is that we have been going through for this past 18 months with the true nodes of the moon on the Scorpio and Taurus axis, really kind of removing a lot of the elements out of our physical realms that were built based off of our ego self and kind of stripping us away, cleaning the slate, providing a new foundation to build something more in alignment, more authentic in its place. And so there is going to be a huge kind of reminder, reflection, if you will, on how it is that we've gotten here, really realizing how much has changed, where it is that we've grown, where it is that we've been forced to grow, and where it is that we still are kind of in a very interesting stage of healing. So the moon in Scorpio getting into the boxing ring, squaring off with Pluto, its ruler, who was retrograde at the 0 degree of Aquarius energy. This is definitely going to bring up a lot of agitation, bring up a lot of frustration, because we are receiving insights, information, and details that are changing our perspective, changing our attitude, changing our plans. And it doesn't feel good, especially in a fixed sign such as the moon in Scorpio. We like to have a plan. We like to feel like we're in control. And we're not feeling any of that right now. Pluto is actually helping to peel back the layers of a current situation that we're not seeing all the information and details on. And this is a preparatory information because, of course, that full moon in Sag that we're about to move into here on the weekend is going to expose a brand new truth. There's no running, there's no hiding from the truth at this point. And the moon in Scorpio is kind of prepping us, preparing us for this jolt of information, this jolt in perspective, these new truths, these new details emerging that will 100% alter the path, the direction that we will be taking here shortly in this next creation story. So definitely be prepared to kind of unearth a lot of those darker parts within us, a lot of those darker emotions and memories and ideas, thoughts, narratives, because we are going to have to kind of work on transforming that into something workable in our lives, empowering in our lives, forcing us to boss up, to take control, and to push us into new levels of authority to make the decisions that we are heart aligned to make in this next chapter of bringing new elements into fruition.